Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture on Basic Mechanism of Blood Clotting. I am your presenter, Dr. Mausmi Shankaradala, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous, Visakhapatnam. This lecture is a part of the certificate course General Physiology, which was run by the Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous, Visakhapatnam. This is a duration of 8 weeks course and it is subjected for the graduate students right from degree first year to final year students. The contents of today's lecture includes introduction of the topic, steps in blood clotting, role of platelets, coagulation cascade, importance and regulation, and in the end we'll be summing up. What exactly is blood clotting? So blood clotting is also called as coagulation. I repeat, blood clotting is also called as coagulation. It is a protective mechanism of the body. It prevents excessive blood loss after injury. Definitely, when there is a wound, that is when your blood vessel gets hurt and it is open up, there will be continuous leakage of the blood, means loss of blood. And if it is not immediately taken care, then if it is not stopped, the blood is not ceased, the blood flow, there will be a difference in homeostasis, that is your internal balance will be affected. So to prevent this excessive blood loss, definitely blood clotting is a savior. And this blood clotting involves a series of enzymatic reactions. Clotting occurs only in the damaged blood vessels. So nowadays we are listening that there are certain clots that occur inside the blood vessels, okay, which leads to stroke. That has nothing to do with this blood clotting. Those are the calcium deposits that are coated onto your blood vessels like your arteries. So that calcium deposits will suddenly uh, get hardened and they form a clot. So here the clotting is nothing but wherever the blood vessel opens up means you get any hurt. You see the bleeding. Bleeding is nothing but the blood is coming out of the blood vessel. So that damaged blood vessels will be undergoing this clotting procedure. Blood clotting is a very important part of the homeostasis process as we have discussed in the previous slide. Who exactly are involved in this blood clotting? Platelets. The platelets play a very crucial role in clotting. The clotting factors are nothing but the proteins present in the plasma. Along with this plasma proteins, which are the clotting factors, we also have the calcium ions, which are very essential for the clotting. So it acts like enhancers, we can say. Thus, it results in the formation of fibrin clot. This fibrin is nothing but if you have seen under any microscope, there will be like fine thread-like structures, like they form a mesh, just like your net. Exactly. The fibrin clot is nothing but the thin fibrin threads that form a mesh or net. What are the steps of this blood clotting? Blood clotting occurs in multiple steps. It's not a single procedure. It is very interesting to know that you just get a wound and within less than a minute you'll have a clot and the bleeding stops unless until if the person is having any hemophilia uh, background. For a normal adult or a younger kid or whoever it is, for a normal person, as soon as you get a hurt, within a couple of minutes, less than a couple of minutes, you'll have the clot formed. It's not that easy as we imagine. It is very complex procedure. We can see here the blood clotting occurs in multiple steps. The first step is vascular spasm. I repeat, the first step is vascular spasm. Second step is platelet plug formation. And the third step is coagulation. So first the vascular spasm, that is where exactly the clot occurs. So that is the reason in literature it was written that the white blood cells, especially your clotting factors and all, they never sit only in the blood. So wherever the wound occurs, immediately they'll rush there. Okay. So what are the three procedures? The first step is vascular spasm, means where exactly got the hurt. Second one is a platelet plug formation. The third one is coagulation. The damaged vessels constrict immediately, means they constrict, they become closer immediately to prevent the loss of blood. Then what happens? The platelets, they adhere, means they stick to the injured site. When they stick to the injured site, slowly they release certain chemicals. Why? To attract the other platelets. Okay, so whenever you get a hurt, immediately the platelets reach to the venue, that is your hurt region. There, the platelets will release certain chemicals. These chemicals attract the other platelets. Then a temporary plug is first formed. Okay. Then the clotting factors activate sequentially. They occur everything in a sequence manner. Finally, after the sequence of manner, all the procedures are completed, a stable clot is formed. Thus, as we now know, role of platelets is very, very important. Platelets are small cell fragments present in the blood. They are majorly called in our day-to-day life as thrombocytes. I repeat, platelets are also called as thrombocytes. They originate from the bone marrow. They help in forming the platelet plug. Already we have seen now two types of plugs are present. First one is a temporary plug where the platelets will be releasing the chemicals and calling upon the other platelets to come quickly. And the second one is a permanent plug. Permanent plug in the sense like no further bleeding occurs. They help in forming platelet plug and they stick to the damaged blood vessels. These release the clotting substance. These substances, as we have seen, they activate the clotting factors. And also we have seen there are many clotting factors. These clotting factors does not act irregularly. They act in a sequential manner. And these substances activate the clotting factors. Which substances? The platelets, when they stick to the wound, they release certain substances, chemical substances that will activate the clotting factors. These help in vasoconstriction. Already we have seen constriction means coming nearer, becoming narrow, thin. Who will become that? The blood vessels which are damaged. Okay, first they'll become contracted, means they become constriction. Like they become a bit narrow so that the blood flow, definitely you see when a pipe, we are getting water from the pipe, when you slowly close the nozzle of the pipe, you make it narrow, then less amount of water flows. Similarly, the same concept here. During the evolution, it was so beautifully designed, our body, that when there is a wound, definitely the blood vessels also constrict so that less amount of blood will be flown out, lost. They form temporary seal at the injury. They initiate coagulation cascade. Cascade means, as we know, a series of reactions. So, coagulation is nothing but clotting. Coagulation involves intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. So, how many pathways are there for the coagulation cascade? Intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. Both the pathways lead to a common pathway. So, first the intrinsic occurs from one side and extrinsic occurs from one side, and they both lead to a common pathway. Here, prothrombin plays a very major role. It is converted into thrombin. What is the clotting factor called? Prothrombin is converted into thrombin. This requires clotting factors and calcium. Already we have seen in the initial slides. Calcium is very important along with your platelets. Okay. So, where this calcium is showing its activity? Near the when the prothrombin is converted into thrombin. Now the thrombin converts fibrinogen to fibrin. So don't get confused, dear children. Fibrinogen is nothing but a plasma protein. This fibrinogen has to be reached to the wound. After reaching there, the fibrinogen will not form the net. It should be converted into fibrin. This fibrin is nothing but thread-like structures, that is your net or your clot or your mesh over the what you call your wound. So here what happens, we are having plasma protein fibrinogen. We are having a wound also. This fibrinogen has to be converted into fibrin. Who will convert that? Thrombin. But is that thrombin readily available in the body? No. It is present as prothrombin. So the inactive form is prothrombin. Now this prothrombin has to be converted to thrombin with the help of calcium ions. Now we understood, dear students, why we are saying calcium ions are required for this blood clotting. As we discussed already, fibrin forms a mesh-like network, and these blood cells get trapped in fibrin mesh. This forms a stable blood clot. Again, I repeat, fibrin forms a mesh-like network on the wound. The blood cells get trapped in the fibrin mesh. This forms a stable blood clot. Now, this clot prevents further bleeding and it strengthens the platelet plug. Is it clear? Clot formation, as we have seen already, fibrin threads form a dense network. This network traps red blood cells and platelets there itself, and it converts the liquid blood into solid blood. So that's why students, have you seen, whenever there is a blood clot, when you touch it, it will no more be your liquid blood. It will be like a squishy jelly material. Okay, it converts into solid clot. The clot seals the damaged vessel. Okay, it seals the damaged vessel and it prevents the entry of pathogens. This clot shrinks and pulls the edges together. This process is called as clot retraction. So now the clot is formed by these fibrin threads. The clot, what it does, it shrinks and it pulls the edges together. This process is called clot retraction. Eventually, healing begins. The clot is dissolved after the repair. This is called as fibrinolysis. Lysis means breakdown, fibrin means the threads, nothing but your clot. And let us see the regulation and importance. It is very important. Blood clotting is essential for the survival, because when there is no blood, when there is blood is you have a wound, and there is no clotting, definitely the blood will be lost. If the blood is lost, there are no major functionings occurring like oxygen, transport of nutrients, nothing. So definitely for your survival, blood clotting is very important. Too little clotting leads to hemorrhage. Hemorrhage means breakdown of your blood vessels. Too much of the clotting is also not good. It leads to thrombosis. Okay. Body regulation takes care of this clotting very carefully. Body regulation and anticoagulants usually prevent unnecessary clotting. So, as we know in the blood already, this what you call your plasma proteins, fibrinogen is present, your calcium is present. So, definitely, whenever the blood comes out, if it may clot by itself. Okay, it may settle down. To prevent that, that's why whenever you go for any blood test, in the tubes, in the collecting tubes, they add these anticoagulants like heparin or your sodium citrate. Okay, anticoagulants. Anti means against, coagulation means clot. So that prevents the blood clotting, so that the blood will be in the liquid form and you can continue your experiments. Heparin is a natural anticoagulant. Vitamin K is required for clotting factors also. Liver synthesizes these clotting proteins actually. So where these clotting proteins are produced? In the liver. Disorders include, as we have read in the first slide, we have discussed hemophilia. Hemophilia means for these people the clotting time and the bleeding time is more. The clotting time is also delayed. So proper balance maintains health. Summing up today's lecture, heparin is a natural anticoagulant. The blood clotting is essential for survival. Too little clotting leads to hemorrhage, and too much clotting causes thrombosis. Body regulates clotting carefully. The anticoagulants prevent unnecessary clotting. Vitamin K is required for the clotting factors. Liver synthesizes clotting proteins, and disorders include hemophilia. Proper balance needs. Dear students, these are the references we have kept. You will be having both international and national editions. Just summing up, Guyton and Hall textbook of medical physiology, essentials of medical physiology, human anatomy and physiology, review of medical physiology, textbook of medical biochemistry and physiology by Chatterjee. So you'll be having both national and international references. Thank you.